What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And welcome to Wednesday's discussion. So I know we've been gone for a little bit. It's been a few weeks. Definitely go back and listen to Monday's episode where we talk about WhatsApp and the current data breach of over 500 million people. Tuesday's episode, we talk about the U.S. banning more Chinese companies and their technology from coming into the States. And then Friday is our non-cyber security related episode, talk about movies, books, TV shows, all that good stuff. So definitely continue to tune in. But let's jump right into it. So this article is titled, "Will Passwordless Solutions Become the Leading Approach to Secure Identities?" It's written by the cybersecurity news team. So they gave it to the whole team. The whole team get credit on the cybersecuritynews.com website. So we talked about this in the past. It's come up several times with Shannon and Levon talking about passwords and MFA. Like MFA is definitely a great thing. I hate it because it causes me much consternation, I guess would be the word. Like I'm always having to reset my passwords because I forgot something or find which device is going to send it to, but it keeps me safe. So there's that. But what I'm craving for in the future is a passwordless solution, right? Where I don't have to remember 15 different passwords. They don't have to all be unique and be 15 characters and be made up of every single key on the keyboard and non-repeating, can't use the same one, all that good stuff. So in this article, they discuss how the bigger name companies are kind of working on this solution, and they did a survey for IT professionals to figure out kind of where they think this is going, will it actually work, can it be implemented? So the big companies right now, Apple, Google, Microsoft, are unanimously declared that their aim is to upgrade by 2023, starting May of 2022. So it's already started to get towards that passwordless future. So basically it's using pins and tokens and things of that nature to secure you, because it should be safer than you trying to remember a password that can be easily broken, or you reusing passwords. So basically, as an IT or cybersecurity professional, don't trust users, right? So users will do the bare minimum with their passwords in order to not have to do much with them in the future, right? They're adding one digit to the password, or they're reusing passwords they used before, or they're using the same password for all of their different sign-ins. So one is compromised, all of them is compromised. So when they went in and they did the poll, they asked professionals like, what is the burden being placed on you? And as the IT professionals responded, they said basically it is that the management of passwords has increased more than 25% since 2019, right? It's a burden to ask the user to use a unique password, and then to obviously keep them honest that they are using a unique password. And then when the user forgets their password because it's overly complex and it's 18,000 characters long, then you have to reset the password for them. It's a lot of work, right? So 92% of them feel as though it's time to make the change. However, they believe that the burden on the user will be high, and that may cause it to fail. So what do you feel about this article, Shannon?
So I liked it, but like it's something you picked up on that I also picked up on, right? So they give the top 3 frustrations for IT teams, right? And then they give the problems for the employees themselves, right? Now, mind you, I'm very much in the cybersecurity world, right? Like I'm an ISO for the team that I work for. So like this falls very, very much into my wheelhouse. And like some of the stuff they say on there, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely how it is, right? So the top 3 frustrations for IT teams, right? It's users who use the same password across applications, have forgotten their passwords, and the time spent on password management, right? Now, when it comes to the employees, right, like flip it. So the fact that they have to regularly change their password, right, remembering several passwords, right? Which depending on the environment you're in can be a lot, right? And typing long, complex passwords, right? So they don't like the things that you have to do to keep them secure, right? They're like, give me the easy route, like you were saying, right? Like they want it easy. Like, where's the easy button for this? I just want to press that. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, no. So like, this is something that um, it is going to cost you more. Like the infrastructure to implement something like this when it comes to pins or tokens, like it's going to cost more, right? It's more than you just managing, you know, a database essentially that has usernames and passwords, right? But even so like I'm a user myself as well, right? So like it is frustrating, but having been on the other side of it as being the cybersecurity person, like I understand the need for it, right? But I have it like even in my job, right? It is my duty to where if I see something that's not secure in my workplace, then I'm supposed to remedy it. You know what I mean? So we have people that have their tokens that they may walk away from their desk. Like I always tell them, because I do this training with them, I was like, make sure you have line of sight of your workstation. You know what I mean? Like if you go and you walk away, you walk around the corner, you no longer have line of sight of your workstation with your token in there or your ID, your CAC in there, you can't do that, right? So it happens to where I'm out there and I'm pulling cacks, you know what I mean? Like somebody, I'm like, okay, I know whose desk this is, but I don't see so and so, right? And it can be something as a short a walk as walking to the printer. But again, if you lose line of sight, like it's just what it is. Now, mind you, that's a little bit extreme, right? Because it's a secure facility, you have to do a little bit to get in there, this, that, and the third, right? A lot of stuff that's happening with passwords now, like these passwords that are being stolen, is remote, right? Somebody just doing some type of brute force attack, dictionary attack, things of that nature, right? Just trying to get a hold of them. So, I mean, my example is a little more extreme, right? You have to have that insider threat that's in there just doing whatever, right? Which is a little harder. But yeah, this is something that I'm all for it, right? Like, and the cost will be worth the security. It's not until you experience some type of data breach or something like that, especially when it comes to like your financial institution or something like that, that you're like, man, I wish I would have done that. Like, you don't want to do it now. You're like, oh, can I just do like 4 characters
Right.
and be done with it? You know what I mean? No, you know what I mean? You want all your money gone? Like, right. It's one of those things where it doesn't hurt until it does. You know what I'm saying? So it's like and you know the same thing, Ryan. Like being in IT for as long as you have, right? Like that 1% when something goes wrong, that's all people care about, right?
Oh yeah.
People could be on Facebook 99% of the time. The second it goes down, all of a sudden they know your name and they need you. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just it's interesting. Like I wasn't too surprised by it, right? Because I hear some of these complaints too. Because again, I'm doing the training, right? So when I say your password needs to be this many characters, they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, look, it's what it is, right? This many characters. Don't use the same password across platforms. You know what I mean? So I get it. I understand it. I'm a user myself, but I understand the need for it. I think that's where the difference is. So.
Right, right. And I definitely get that as well. Like to do the training just to watch them not follow the training has to be frustrating. So I've not had the privilege of doing that yet, but I see that as being my future as well. The only thing I can think of is, so right now I'm having issues with remembering passwords, right? It's because I try to keep them all unique and what have you. So I use a password wallet. It's stored in my keychain or whatever for my Apple device, things of that nature. And then I'll forget what it is, or it won't cross over and different devices, or for whatever reason it won't store what I believe to be the strong password. Because if you take the recommendation of Apple or Google or whomever, they're going to give you nonsensical. It's not a passphrase. It's not anything. It's just a bunch of characters. Um, and then to forget that causes you to have to reset things and things of that nature. So it can be frustrating. If we were to switch it up where you have a token on your device and then a pin, it becomes more of like a banking transaction, right? Like you remember your pin, you put it in there, things of that nature. But what happens when you switch out devices? What happens when I upgrade my iPhone? What happens when I switch out my laptop? How hard is it to be issued another token and to deactivate the token on that device? So I can see that as being a problem in the future, but it may not be as big of a problem, right? You won't have massive breaches where millions of passwords are being sold because they were scraped or brute forced or what have you. So and there is a cost associated with it, but I think it'll be less time spent, which should give the IT departments back that time to do other things with it, right? Which should save the company money and time. But again, there's operational risk management. There's a bunch of other things that go into to question. There's CEOs, people in the C-suite that don't quite understand what the benefit is. So I mean, if the big three are doing it, so if Google, Apple, and Microsoft are pushing for it, it will be the future. It's just a matter of how painful will that future be for the end user. And in my personal opinion, I think it should take a little bit of weight off of them. It's just people don't like change, so there's that, right? As well as trust. Like, oh, I don't want, you know, them to steal my pen, but you're cool with using the same password since you used since 2000. So that's on a sticky note underneath your keyboard. So it's, yeah,
That's
it's give
another
and take.
that's another thing I tell them too. Like in the training, I'm like, look, if I see on the side of your monitor under your keyboard, like if I just lift it up and I see these different combinations
Right.
of numbers, letters, special characters, I'm like, okay, I have a pretty good idea what it is. And like, here's the thing: anybody who works in that environment, they know the format of what your username is, right? Because they have one as well. So if they know you, they know they can figure out the format, right?
Right,
So
right. So stop using shift one down, shift two
yeah,
down, and all those things.
waterfall passwords. So they are waterfall passwords.
Oh man,
Don't do that.
it's crazy out here. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. So like this implementation should be done by next year, or at least you should start seeing it. And I have perused two websites that did ask me to switch over. Like, hey, you want to, I forget how they phrase it, but basically like, do you want to switch over to pin authentication? Like one was like, I want to say it was either Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. And I was actually surprised. I was like, okay, they're already trying to implement this solution. So it is coming. We'll see what the future holds. And I don't think this will be the last time we discuss this, but I definitely see the evolution. Like we talked about it being a potential thing. Now we're talking about it actually being implemented. And then hopefully in the next year or so, we'll talk about like, oh, okay, that wasn't that bad. Or the threat actors out there found a way around it already. When can only go two ways. So we'll
They're
see.
getting to those solutions a lot quicker too, right? Like they're fixing those problems a lot sooner than what they used to, right?
Right.
They're motivated now,
Yeah, definitely.
maybe not so much, start letting these crypto houses keep falling, and maybe not so much, right?
Man, like is it the past, like I'm surprised that hasn't turned into something yet. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. They're like, all these people's information's out here. Um, so that could be potentially a thing in the future as these companies fail, that were thriving so much and have so much money in them. Um, but that's a discussion for another time. So with that being said, please hit up all of websites with our name. On social media, you can find me at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. I'm out of practice on LinkedIn and Clubhouse. And definitely tune in for tomorrow's or Friday's episode, depending on when you're listening to this. So stay safe, stay secure.